Welcome to another video on Far From the Madding Crowd. In this video, we'll look at Chapter 8, The Malthouse, the Chat, News. In the last chapter, titled Recognition, a Timid Girl, we came across Gabriel Oak meeting a girl on his way to the Malthouse. Let's begin with Chapter 8, The Malthouse. Oak reached Warren's Malthouse, and he could hear certain voices inside. Then he entered and saw the maltster. Maltster is the person who makes or brews the malt. So the maltster recounts, or he could recollect, his connection with Oak's father and grandfather. Here you have the picture of a maltster. At the Malthouse, Gabriel Oak meets Mr. Joseph Poorgrass, whom we saw in Chapter 6, in the wagon on which Oak climbs after the fair. You remember Oak attending a job fair, and after that, when he managed not to get a job, he climbed into a wagon which was on its way to Weatherbury. So in that wagon, we have already seen Joseph Poorgrass. Oak engages in a conversation with him and slowly directs the talk to the subject of his heart. We know the subject of his heart is Bathsheba Everdeen. Let's see what he asks. What sort of a place is this to live at? And what sort of a mistress is she to work under? Here she is none other than Bathsheba Everdeen. So Mr. Poorgrass and Jan Coggan, who is another farm worker of Bathsheba, they both give Oak details about the farm. The farm belonged to Farmer Everdeen. Farmer Everdeen was Bathsheba's uncle. Bathsheba came when her uncle was sick or he was ill, and since the doctor couldn't save his life, Bathsheba will keep on the farm. So this is how Bathsheba got the rights or got the ownership of the farm. The farm belonged to her uncle, and after his death, now Bathsheba will be looking after the farm. Then in between their chat, they talked about Farmer Everdeen's family, Jan Coggan's relation with the dairy maid of the Farmer Everdeen. The maid's name is Charlotte. And then after a while, Oak started to play flute, and everyone at the Malthouse enjoyed each other's company. They were talking to each other about different matters. Some were listening to the music. Some were making fun of the other person. So all these were happening in the Malthouse. After a while, when everyone started to leave, Henry Frey came with the news of Miss Everdeen catching her bailiff Pennyways in the act of stealing bushels of barley. So here, now the news that the title of this chapter refers to, there are two news. One is this, that Bathsheba Everdeen's bailiff Pennyways was caught in an act of stealing barley. Bathsheba fled him from her farm then and there. Soon after she caught Pennyways, she fled Pennyways from her farm. And the second news was this. Fanny Robin went missing. So who is Fanny Robin? She was Bathsheba's youngest servant. So two things happened at Bathsheba's farmhouse that night. One was Pennyways was freed from her farm. Second was her youngest servant Fanny Robin went missing. After hearing this news, all the workers they hastened to Bathsheba's farmhouse. They met her and she directed some of her workers to search for Fanny Robin, to go and search for Fanny Robin. She also inquired whether she had someone courting her, whether someone was courting Fanny Robin, whether someone was interested in marrying Fanny Robin. Someone from the workers, they have answered that she had a soldier who lives in Casterbridge. So again, Bathsheba directs that if they don't get any news of Fanny Robin within 2 days, someone should go to Casterbridge and make an inquiry, search for Fanny Robin there as well. She deferred or postponed the conversation about the bailiff for a later opportunity. She was not interested to talk about Pennyways that night. So after giving them the directions, the crowd dispersed. We have come to the end of chapter 8 of Far from the Madding Crowd. The chapter was titled The Malthouse, the Chat, News. So the Malthouse, it refers to Warren's Malthouse, and the chapter begins with a detailed description of how the Malthouse looks, etc. Then coming to the chat Gabriel had with fellow workers, other people who were present at the Malthouse. And then news. News was about the bailiff Pennyways and about Fanny Robin. Thank you.